What's going on, guys, and welcome to On the Move with Matt podcast. Today I'm here with Josh and Dana Geraghty, and they are the owners of Geraghty's Micro Farm. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having us.
We're going to get to know them and all about their journey that's led them up to owning a business. So how long have you guys been in Winchester for?
So Josh, you can speak on your part, but
I've been here my whole life.
Yeah, he's been here his whole life. I've been here about 11 years now, originally from Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
So I'm sure a lot of the people are wondering, what is a micro farm and how does that differ from a regular farm?
So we get that question a lot, and a lot of people think we grow like microgreens or have micro livestock, that type of thing. But one thing Josh and I wanted to do from the very beginning was differentiate ourselves from a lot of the larger scale farms around us in Winchester. We're lucky to live in a county. Frederick County has a lot of farming families, a lot of generational farms, but we're first generation farmers. We didn't grow up on a farm. We had no idea what we were doing. And we just bought a couple acres and wanted to grow food for our family. So micro farm came about because we own just a few acres versus our next door neighbor, they own 600 acres. So we wanted to set that tone from the very beginning,
right?
That it's on a micro level, but show that we could, grow a lot of food, produce a lot of stuff on a little bit if managed properly.
Right. And
so that's where it came about.
So, and where did you guys start at? I'm sure you didn't have the land and all that to start with. Where did you start at?
So the dream kind of began in our townhouse. We lived in a townhouse in the city.
Had 3 chickens.
Yeah, Josh had his 3 chickens in the backyard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then we just had this longing to, have a better understanding of where our food came from, where it was raised, how it was raised, that type of thing. Because at that time in our lives, we were very big into fitness. That's actually where we met, was at the gym. And we were just really adamant about, providing ourselves the best. So we just were done with the townhouse life. We wanted to buy a house with a couple acres, buy a cow, buy some chickens, do all this crazy stuff, start a garden. But again, we had no idea what we're doing. We just, had that fire in us to do it and just go all out.
Right, kind of just learn as you go.
Yeah. And we never intended it to be a business. I think Josh can say it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah. One day feeding.
Yeah, it was just people were contacting us and being like, hey, how do I buy your eggs, or how do I do this? And we were kind of scared because it is food. We're, feeding people. We wanted to do things right. So we had no idea how to start a business. So we just started asking questions. And I told him, I was like, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. And then, it was just okay, we're just going to start a farm and we're going to raise food for people.
Awesome. And is this a full-time job for you guys, or how does that work?
It wasn't always a full-time gig. It still isn't a full-time gig for me.
Well, it's full-time, but there's still a full-time job.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Always,
I have 2 full-time jobs.
Your second full-time job?
Yes.
Yeah. In the beginning, we both work full-time. You can tell him what you did prior to farming.
Architecture, then come February of this year, stay-at-home dad and farm full-time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I'm sure, a big switch for you.
Yes. But it allows us to open the market at additional days, because prior it'd be in the office. So we are able to open on a Friday and Sunday, but then also be around for the kids to be farming with me. So kind of allows for a lot more, growth in the farm.
Right.
Because we're not
family time, all that.
Family time and growth of everything, just because you're not limited to after hours, after work, or part-time
rushing
to get
the
things
stress
done.
Right.
Of us both working full-time, and it's there's still chores to be done twice a day.
Right, yeah.
And we started it in 2017. Like Josh said, he was still working full-time. And then when we had our first daughter, Hadley, she's 4 now, we just had this realization that, we could work our lives away and work for other people and work 40, 50, 60 hours a week and not have anything to show for it, not be with your kids. So that's really what drove us to say, is the farm going to be a hobby? And is it just going to be this thing we enjoy doing on the weekends? or is it something that we want to create to support our family, support us to be home with our kids? So he went part-time. Josh went part-time after Hadley was born.
For 3 years.
Yeah, for 3 years you worked part-time. So you still went into the office 3 days a week and you were home 2 days a week. That was great while it lasted. Right. And again, I still work full-time, and I think I'll continue to work full-time just for the added benefits of my career. But then when our son was born, he just turned 1. Again, it's like, do we want to keep growing the farm and create it something that we know it can become so that way he can stay home full-time? So that's when, we made the decision that it would be best for our family to have that time together and keep growing the farm.
Right, and I'm sure it's nice because, every day you guys have all these chores and stuff you have to do, and the work keeps piling up, but you can do it as a family. So you're getting the family time and doing your work at the same time.
And it sounds all magical and things like that, but it is super stressful running a farm with 2 young kids. But
when it rains or it's cold or it's too hot, it's still have to do it. Animals still need to be fed. You can't just
right. You can't just push it off till tomorrow.
Kids, get in. Let's go. We got to get these done. Faster we get done, faster we can go do something else.
Right. And it's a lot of responsibility for kids too, which isn't. I don't want to say it's not normal nowadays, but people look at us differently because we don't get to go on vacations. We don't get to go out we sacrifice a lot, and it's a lot to ask for our kids. But I think farm life and the slower life of living on a farm, meaning we don't go out as much, is really beneficial for them to just be outdoors, explore all these things, learn how to work really hard. Because like you said, they're with us the entire time. It's not like I bring someone over to watch the kids and we get to be farmers and hang out.
They're part of it.
You got to juggle it all.
Right. And why do you think it's important for you guys to raise your kids like that? What does it mean to you?
So I think it's important because just saying us, we had that huge disassociation of where our food came from. I think children nowadays are struggling even more so with that. And just thinking, talking with other children, you ask them, where do your chicken nuggets come from? And they say Chick-fil-A. And it's
McDonald's.
Yeah, we're McDonald's. It's no, I grow that in my front yard.
Right, yeah.
Again, just the hard work, the perseverance of, understanding that you get a lot from working hard outside. And just, that family time, that bonding is really special to us.
Right.
Just having them by our sides. And there's just countless things to learn on the farm too. It just blows my mind, how much Hadley knows already.
Right, yeah.
And I think it's normal, but it's not most kids her age can go in the garden and identify everything in their garden or know how breeding pigs works or farrowing pigs. She sits there right with us, and learns all about that. Right. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Josh, about it, but I think that's a multifaceted thing. It's you learn gratitude because, she sees the pigs born on the farm and then she sees the day we load them on the trailer, and it's a really sad day when you take them to butcher, but she gets to tell them thank you and she gets to be sad in that moment.
Right.
But then when we eat our food, she understands they've been there for over a year and that we're going to honor it during this meal and things like that. So I think there's just so many things that come from having them at home and on the farm.
I'm sure it's emotional for the kids too, and you guys when you...
It is.
Do you name the animals or...
We do. We have...
Not all of them.
I was going to say not all of them.
The registered breeding stock that sticks around for 10 years, they're all named and registered. There are a few of the meat herd pigs and cattle that have names, but that's because they might have a certain color on them, how they will call the ginger ones ginger. That's her pig, that's her gingers. Yeah. Or she has a meat cow that's named Moo. Mm-hmm. It's one that was...
But to put it into perspective, we have about 200 pigs.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to name them all. But yeah, even dealing with death is a really hard thing to navigate with young kids, but it's not something we can hide from them.
Right.
And I think, again, I just think that's really important to share with kids at a young age on the level, that they're able to grasp and understand that. Because with livestock, I mean, sometimes they get sick and you do everything you can and there's not much you can do. So she's around to like witness those moments, and you have to, you know, tell her about it.
Right,
and it's
exactly,
hard.
yeah.
It is hard.
Yeah. And I'm sure, I mean, you guys have a ton of work on the farm. I'm sure you have help, right? Like you can't do it all on your own.
I mean, we do have help, but the majority of the day in and day out is all us.
Right.
We do have some friends that help out on the farm. We're really big into bartering too. Okay. So again, we grow really awesome food. And there's people that want access to the food but may not be in a financial situation where they can afford it. So it's like, hey,
work for food.
Right,
yeah, like, hey, you can come out and do us a favor and we'll do you a favor and, you know, provide your family some food, things like that. We count on our family a lot on like big days, like chicken processing days is a good example. Like our chickens are processed on our farm. Josh and I do a lot of that. We get some of our friends to help us out. It's normally like 8 or 9 people of us that, you know, butcher 250 chickens in a couple hours.
Yeah.
And we just get them to come help us, or we get our family to come help and watch the kids. But again, like we do all that. And it's, you know, farming is such a dimensional business because farming itself is so busy. Like the livestock, the demands of them is so much, but then I still have to create a website. I have to manage social media. I have to manage inventory, like stuff we sell, the feed, like manage butcher dates. Like it's such a stressful like thing to manage because there's so many pieces that you kind of like forget about.
Yeah, especially like in today's age. I mean, we have, like you said, like Facebook, social media. So you have to learn how to run the business. You have to be a marketer.
Yeah.
You have to...
I have to do bookkeeping.
Yeah. So it's not just learning how to take care of the animals and all that stuff and butcher them. But I think a lot of people, they come to your market. So your market's open 2 days a week, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we open Friday and Sunday from 12 to 4.
So they come there and they see, you know, all the pretty packaging and the pretty swag and stuff like that. So it's good that we can sit down and let them know, like, the work that actually goes into it to get from the little baby pig all the way to the packaging.
Yeah, or even the farmers are the ones that are hand stamping the egg cartons. We're picking the eggs from the chickens, but then we still, for the brand, we have a stamp that we stamp all of our cartons with. So it's like we're the ones stamping them. So it's not just farming; it's still doing. I guess you're working in retail as well. You're a farmer retailer. It's
I guess that's wearing a lot of different hats.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, you're waking up before the sun a lot of the days. You're going to bed. I mean, and you get it. You work hard. You have your business. You're going to bed at, you know, midnight, 1 o'clock, and it's physically demanding. It's emotionally demanding. Like, it's just on all levels. There's just so many things. There's never not something that I need to do, but there's sometimes I just have to say, you know, Dana, like, you got to just, like, stop.
Right.
We have to stop. This is all we're getting done today. We need sleep.
Right,
we need to take care of ourselves. So it's also, like, being able to tell yourself, like, there's always those things and not getting too stressed out.
Right,
that you don't get, like, overwhelmed. And, like, the biggest question we always get is, you know, when people come out and see the farm and they see all the pigs, or, you know, in the summer when we have all the produce gardens, we're raising, you know, about 800 chickens a year, and things like that. Again, it's just us with the kids doing that. And they're like, how do you do all this? And it's, if we didn't love it and if it wasn't our passion, there is no way I would be waking up every morning to do this. And it's funny because as a kid, I was like 11 or 12. It was my first job. I was working on a produce farm, like picking strawberries in like the dead of summer. And I was getting paid like 25 or 50 cents a quart to pick these strawberries. And I was like, these people are idiots. Like, why would you wake up every morning and do this? Like, this is such a miserable job.
Right, yeah.
Like, what? And then it's like, now I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah, it's amazing when you have a passion for something, how it drives you. And people ask that all the time. I get the question too, like, how do you do all that you do? And I'm just looking at it like,
you don't have an option.
What do you mean? Like, I just do it. It just comes naturally.
Yeah.
So when you have a passion, it just drives you. So I'm sure, like, working together, husband and wife, that's that's not exactly easy. So how do you guys like separate like your marriage from the work life?
I would, and I mean, Josh, if you disagree, I don't think we have that separation per se.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you agree with that?
Yeah,
I don't think we have a
work
separation.
as a joint couple and family. It's
Right,
we're doing
yeah.
everything together. It's not like
Yeah.
there are tasks that one might go do and the other would do something else. Like social media is Dana. Versus working sorting cattle or something, and I'll be doing that. But majority of the stuff, it's teamed together.
I think what's different for us too, because I've talked to other farmers about this, because it's a really good question. And most people that visit the farm, because they know I do social media, I take all the pretty pictures and stuff like that.
Right.
They think I just sit at a desk and like do all this.
Right, yeah.
They're like, "Oh, Dana, it must be nice to just like take care of the kids and stuff." And I'm like, "No, like I'm with Josh,
But
like
then
working
you'll
hard
post
with
a
him."
video
Yeah.
of you carrying a 200-pound pig
Yeah.
through the pasture because it needs to be moved.
Yeah,
And
but
you're
just-
like, oh wait, she carried that, and it's like, yeah, she's still.
Yeah, we work hand in hand really well. And I think speaking to other people, it's not always that way with farmers.
Right.
Because I've asked other farmers the same question, and it's normally the husband that does the farming stuff, but both of us have that strong passion to be involved in every,
Right, yeah.
most has. We have our key areas where we both work separately. But I think sometimes, if not most times, there is a separation in that.
Right.
In the beginning, I'll say, because, I mean, we started when we were just boyfriend and girlfriend, and then we got engaged, got married, all that good stuff. In the beginning, it was really hard because, again, moving livestock, loading livestock, certain like that, you
Right.
can get, I mean, everyone hears the jokes if you're in like the farming community of
Yeah.
like things you say to each other when you're loading cattle. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you kind of just got to forget about it because you get really
Right,
heated
yeah.
and, you know, things can go south really bad and you have to act in the moment because this is a 1,400-pound
Animal
steer
that can,
Right,
that
yeah.
can
hurt
kill
very
you.
bad. So it's
Yeah, it's not like when you're loading the kids in the car seat and they're having a fit. And,
Exactly.
You
and
know,
you still get you might still get heated up a little bit
Yeah.
because they're not listening. It's like
Yeah, you
that's
gotta-
a 20-pound, 30-pound kid versus
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that can potentially kill you. So it's
Right,
kind of
yeah.
like you got to be on the same page. And if something's not moving or somebody didn't open the right pen, it's like
Yeah.
we got to.
So we've gotten into arguments in the very beginning, and there were, you know, hard times working through things like that. But we've gotten better over the years, and I think that's just like with marriage in general. Like you work through conflicts,
Right.
and it's just, you know, we've learned just how to manage those emotions a little better. And if we get to that point, you know, one of us normally just walks away. If we're able to in the moment, one of us just steps out. You know, it's like you're tired. It's
Right, yeah.
especially in the summer when you're working 14 hours a day in the heat and things like that. Sometimes, you know, you say things that you probably shouldn't. And
Yeah.
it's just learning, like, we just have to forgive each other and move on because there's too much for us to do. Like,
Right.
we can't be mad at each other. And, like,
Yeah.
Josh is my best friend. And, like, we've done all these things, like, cool things in life. So it's, for us, I don't want to say it's easy because no marriage is easy, but it's generally pretty easy because, again, we both have that passion, like,
Right.
so immensely. It's easy for us. Like, whenever we have free time, we're talking about the farm and, like,
Right, yeah.
ideas. So it's, like, fun to us.
Yeah.
And as long as it stays that way, and I know it will, like, we're not going to have any issues. Like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You have a passion for it.
yeah.
And Josh, you recently got hurt loading a pig, right? Can you share that with
Well, yeah,
us?
that was earlier in the spring, loading a pig.
What, 6 months ago?
Yeah, don't try and tackle a pig and catch a hoof in the ribs or you'll fracture a rib. So,
And that was one of those moments.
it was one of those moments where
Josh is heated.
we tried to load a pig and it ran past the trailer 3 times. I said, "That's it. I'm just going to get this pig loaded and just run and football tackle it." And
Yeah.
when
Kind
the
of
pig's
forget.
bigger than you, and you don't normally
Yeah.
win the fights. So
Right. Yeah. A little too late at that point.
yeah, it's just normally just easier to work as a team and
Mm-hmm.
catch the
Right.
pig. Normally it's pretty stress free because the way we load them, and it's walk them onto the trailer and get them on. But this one
Right.
was very stubborn and
When just over the years, because like I said, we are first generation farmers, but our biggest, like our mission statement is your food deserves better. And we really like to show people that the care and attention that we give our livestock is, you know, the best that it can be. So we've learned over the years how to read the livestock, how to work with them instead of against them. Like Josh is a freaking genius. Like he said, he's an architect. He's just always thinking about how to make things more efficient, make things work better. Like he has several inventions on the farm that are literally like mind blowing. Like you can tell him about your pig corral system I mean, you can take the reins.
It's just like a mini version of a cattle working system. So it's like, because majority of our livestock are pigs, we've got to work 200 pigs at a time. So same with large farmers that have 200 plus cattle. It has a pen, a sweep alley, works them. It lifts the pigs in the air so you can trim hooves and tusks and get weights on them and give them shots, because every animal needs to be worked for different reasons, to designing the whole chute system.
Yeah, but there's nothing on the market.
there's
So
nothing
you're
on the
like,
market,
I'm
so
just
like-
going to do it myself.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Go on Amazon now.
Yeah, and there's products like for our livestock trailers that hold your corral panels for working cattle. There's nothing on the market for that. So
No,
it's just
farmers use ratchet straps.
Yeah,
and
ratchet
Josh is like,
straps.
I've got a better
why
solution.
ratchet strap
Yeah.
your panels to the side of your trailer when you could buy these brackets that hold your panels and
Right.
they won't fall off on 81.
Mm-hmm. I would say the pig corral system, like just things like that on the farm, though.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to be more efficient. So again, it's less time of us actually doing the work. We want to be more efficient.
Right,
We
yeah.
want to free up more time because as we grow, like you need that time in other spaces.
And
So
it's
the
not
pig corral system was
in
huge.
the beginning, it's like farming isn't cheap.
No.
So it's kind of working with what we had. So it's you grab the pig and you flip it and hold it down to trim its hooves.
and it took us
Right.
4 days to do all the pigs.
And when you're flipping 400-pound plus boars, it's like you're doing a handful a day because they just wear you out. They're so powerful.
Right.
Versus we can run through 100 pigs in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then not really sweat at all. You're sweating because it's hot.
Yeah.
So it's just making things easier and working smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
But it's as we're also learning on how the pigs work or how the cattle work or the chickens. It's because we weren't growing up doing this. It's how can we make things easier, less stressful on the animal, less stress on us, which also helps with, I guess, communication and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
As a
Right.
family.
Yeah, because you don't
It's-
get to that point where you're burnt out anymore.
Yeah, it's more enjoyable and it's safer too, because we could have the kids being around the animals because the facilities, the working chutes and all that are built to withstand the animals that are in it versus
Right.
using something just because you have it.
Right.
Using a piece of plywood isn't going to be the smartest thing. So it's, as we're growing, we're investing in our knowledge and funds and stuff back into the farm to make it safer and better and
Yeah.
everything else. So it's more, I guess, enjoyable. But then people also, it's for other people to see those products and see how the farm is grown. Makes it all worth it as well.
Yeah, when I come by the farm and see like all the different structures you guys have built for the animal shelter and the big dome for like the vegetables and all that, like where
The high
did
tunnels.
how did you learn all that?
It just
YouTube or
YouTube
construction?
videos, just figuring out what we need and not need. There's been a lot of trial and errors on things like, okay, that structure was terrible, and in the beginning, again, funds not being unlimited, it was building portable structures to see where on the property things need to be, because the winds that we have and just how the contours of the property are, it's like, all right, things need to be on top of the hill, bottom of the hill, face the wind, not the wind. So it was kind of just living on the property for a few years before building permanent structures.
And that's
then-
you're really good about designing stuff too, because he studies all that like day to day. Like wind is a big thing. Wind is really challenging on the farm because we can get anywhere from 20 to 60 mile an hour winds. And again, when you're working with livestock in the winter or when it's raining, things like that, such a small thing
Having
to
the
just
opening of the
anyone
door
is just a
facing
door
away from the wind, so you don't
Like,
get drafts in. It's-
Right.
he
yeah.
thinks of all the stuff like, and again, him being an architect, he thinks of like any tiny little detail. So that's what, like, other people would kind of make fun of us, like other farmers, like you're thinking too much into it, like you're doing and it's like, no, like we have to think it all through, like we have to be meticulous, we have to have all these lists and stuff like that to just do it the best we can. It's so much to think about, but he's really good about those tiny details.
Yeah, no. I'm sure being an architect, that background helps a lot. But people don't realize like the overhead you guys have. So, I mean, in the market, I'm sure your electric bill is through the roof.
It is.
I mean, you have to have the freezers,
Yeah,
the
it
sprinklers,
didn't
everything.
start that way because the
No.
market was a converted 2-car garage that we already had. So the structure of the market was already there.
Yeah.
So we weren't out of a huge, and again, not investing a lot into the farm, using what we have. It was a structure that was there. We didn't have to build a new structure.
Right.
And then
And it
over
started
time-
really small.
Yeah, it started really small. We had 2 little freezers and some apple crates as display areas, and the money wasn't there to kind of just have free realm to just put all this money into this
Right.
space. And so
Yeah, because
then it
back
was-
then we were using our paychecks.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
we didn't
We were both
have
working
farm
and-
income.
Right, yeah, you don't have a profit on what
We
you're
weren't
doing.
we were selling very little compared to what
What you are
what we
now,
needed
yeah.
to spend. So yeah,
Yeah.
So-
the market started really
Yeah,
small.
2-car garage, the doors are open and people would come in, and
Yeah.
the
Didn't
first-
matter if it was 100 degrees
Or
or
negative.
-10.
Right, yeah.
we were happy to see
Yeah.
one person with a foot of snow outside show up
Yeah.
because one person is still one sale.
Yeah. It's
To
like-
now it's glass doors and a bunch of glass freezers and walk-in freezers outside. It's
The big display in the middle that you
Yeah.
built, like this huge like metal and wood like display, and it's
that's
full
a lot
of products.
and that's a lot of
now.
things
Right,
people say
yeah.
too. Like, oh, Dana, you designed this so well.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, no, that was Josh.
Yeah.
He did this
Yeah.
entire thing.
Yes, he's
Yeah.
very good with interior design and just making it
aesthetics,
inviting,
correct.
yeah, on brand. Like we're very big with the farm too, of just making it presentable. Like when you drive down the gardens, we have like hand painted signs in the gardens,
Oh,
and
wow, yeah.
a lot of people think like that's going so overboard. But when we want people to drive down our lane and be like, wow, like these people really care, because
Right.
we do.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
not a farm that there's
Yeah.
trash everywhere and you're like, ooh. Because again, you want to buy a product that you see like the presentation is
Yeah.
there. It's
Even
Yeah.
down
Well
to like
kept.
the gardens, like we could maximize our garden space so much because of just where we're gardening. But Josh wants it to look a certain way where he has like our roads. We were out there with like a tape measure, making sure it's perfectly straight.
Straight.
And then
Yeah.
he manicures it. He in the summer he's mowing every other day with his zero turn, making his fancy lines and stuff. But
Right.
again, that sticks with people when they show up
Yeah, it's
to
all
the
about
market.
presentation,
you
yeah.
got to get
It's
the first
still a
of- yeah.
farm. There's mud, there's dirt, there's things like that. But you drive down and you're like, wow, like Josh and Dana really care. So it just translates a lot. People really like to see that. So we really care about how the property looks. Like we have a big sign at the front. Again, the market, like he designed the doors for it too. Like we have big metal glass doors where our garage doors were. Well, it sits in front of the garage doors. And again, him being the genius he is, he designed them where the garage doors can still shut behind it.
Oh,
Because he's
wow.
like, one day when we get so big and we need to like build a freestanding market, I want this to be able to be used as a
Garage
garage
again.
again.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to take down these garage doors and then have to buy garage doors down the road.
Right. Thinking ahead, yeah.
He's always thinking about stuff like that, which is really cool.
Yeah. And can you guys kind of describe like all the hard work was put in Monday to Friday? Friday comes, the market opens. Like when people come to your house, come in your market, you see them leaving with, steak and eggs, and you sell other people's products too. Like all that stuff. Like what does that mean to you that you have like fed families in our community?
It's a bit surreal every weekend because it was a dream in the very beginning. The market's been open 3 years now. And I think about it and I get super emotional because like I pitched this idea to Josh. It was three years ago and 6 weeks. We gave ourselves a 6-week timeline to build the market. We were doing chores one evening. And again, it was just like, if we're going to do this, we need to figure out how we're going to do it right. We want to be different. We want to be able to show people like we're the face of the farm. We want them to be able to come talk to us, things like that. So I told him, I was like, why don't we sell your race cars and make a market out of the garage? And he's like, Dana, that's a little crazy. Like, where we live out on Apple Pie.
Right,
He's
yeah.
like, people aren't going to drive out here. Like, how are they going to even know we're here? Things like that. So it was a lot of work to like get the word out there that we're here. We're just this tiny farm or this tiny family like trying to grow food for people. So when we see, you know, on a busy weekend, or even for example, we do a customer appreciation event. That's a really good example to like explain the gratitude. So it's like a day we give back. This year we provided free pizzas for 300 people. We had like 400 people show up to our farm in 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And that's people
But the pizzas we were given to are the pizzas that we sell in our market that are another small farm. They make the pizzas and we supply all the meat that go on the pizzas. So it's kind of collaborating with other farms to do this. So it's kind of, they got to make them for the customer appreciation day and be seen by the community. Oh, they're making this. So then it kind of helps out others.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's really cool to see people get excited, and it makes us both feel really great. Like, and we remember people's names, like we remember people's orders, remember like what they want. We're like, hey,
Right, yeah.
hey Teresa, you're back. Like, I know you like the really big filet mignons. We finally gotten back in stock, and that sticks with people. So it's like they feel part of the family. Like, and again, I'm really big about sharing our life, our day-to-day aspects on social media, so they get to like know us as a family. I feel like they're our friend, and they're our friends.
Right, yeah.
And because like you said, we're feeding our neighbors, we're feeding our community, and I feel like we need to get back to those days, because not only are you supporting our family, but just like having that sense of relationship with your food, I think is really important. And I mean, we can go back and forth about, you know, what's healthiest and things like that. I think just besides that, like just keeping things within the community, feeding your community, things like that, like it doesn't get much better than that. So like seeing people come in week after week and just rave about it, sharing with their friends and things like that, like that means the world. Nothing means more to us than seeing people happy with what they purchase from us.
Then there's also huge benefits of having an on-farm market versus going to a farm market. So going to a farm market, we'd have to load our products up into a vehicle and then go to another location, set up, hopefully you sell.
Tell people about our pretty farm.
Tell them about, oh yeah, we have this really nice farm, and then like, oh, maybe you do, maybe you don't.
Right,
Versus having an on-farm market, people come to the farm. You can't hide.
Yeah,
at
there's
that
no
point.
secrets.
When we say we don't spray anything on our produce, they'll walk out in the produce and they see bugs, they see
weeds.
Yeah, we say it's all pigs are out on pasture. They see pigs out in the field. They see the chickens that are free ranging. The chickens will hop in your car if you leave your door open.
Yeah.
We're not hiding anything. People can walk around the farm and see all the different animals. And like we have piglets in the front yard. People are in the pen playing with them. Like this time of year, it's pumpkins for pigs. People bring pumpkins. They can feed them to the pigs. It's allowing the interaction, like what Dan was saying, is like connecting with your food. Is like, in a way, that's potentially an animal you'll be eating down the road. That
and people appreciate that.
They like,
and it's not something you can get just anywhere. So it is different. And that's why I think people crave it so much, is because they want that for their family too. Like for instance, we get a lot of people that come from Snowden Bridge. And it's like they live in this big community. They barely have a front yard. Right, and it's like they want their kids to see a farm. They want their kids to experience like, hey, like this is what we're eating tonight. And this is how they should be treated. Here's a farmers you're supporting. Like, I just think it's really cool. And like Josh was saying, like collaborating with other farmers and other small businesses. Like that's just another way the farm has opened up to like support other small businesses, because we can't do it all. We do a lot, but we can't do it all.
Right.
So for instance, so like honey, maple syrup, sourdough breads, like things like that, we source locally. Like there's nothing in the market that is from like super far away. So if it's not something I can do or he can do or we can do as a team, we source it locally from a family that I can tell you, who they are.
Similar practices to what we do.
Yeah. And when you stop by, you might see that family.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They shop the market all the time too. Right. Yeah. So it's cool, like being able to make those relationships and having friends with those people and growing together too, because that's of course a big benefit of working with other local businesses.
And you guys do a CSA program. Can you kind of share what that's about?
Yeah, so the CSA is Community Supported Agriculture, and our program is a 20-week long program. It's more of a whole diet CSA, so that means it includes produce, chicken, and eggs. Versus a lot of your typical CSAs are just produce. So that would normally run from the beginning of June through October, the 20 weeks, and pretty much you could come every Sunday. We harvest Sunday morning, so everything's fresh that day. You have a basket with your name in the market, and the basket's full of produce, and you alternate the weeks you get your chicken and your eggs. So you leave with an entire full basket, and it's guaranteeing you produce and the chickens, and there's other things we can add in, candles that we make, well, Dana makes, other items, but it's the value is it's a huge savings by joining it. And it's also helping us because you're kind of being a shareholder of the farm for the year, and it allows us to do projects and stuff earlier on in the year, because like we just opened registration for CSA
for next year.
November 1st was it that day was, so that kind of will sell out of CSA shares probably within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean they're already half sold out.
They're half sold out already.
Yeah,
and it's kind of the winter is the slow time of the period in the farm, so for sales and just everything. So that allows us to plan and start getting projects going early. But yeah, so the majority of our produce grown on the farm is for CSA.
Right.
And the only thing I'll add to that is CSA is kind of like what started the farm and started the market. Because again, we had to get really creative on how we were going to structure the business, because it is scary trying to grow food, and then if you don't sell it, like produce for example has a really short shelf life, and there's a lot of amazing produce gardeners in Winchester. So it's like, how do we get business?
Yeah.
And how do we sell this product when I don't even know how to freaking garden?
How do we compete with these large
our
produce
CSA,
farmers?
our first CSA was the first time we ever gardened. So we're like, we just kind of like have to make this work because we're growing food for people. But again,
we're not failing.
Yeah, but we didn't want to grow all this food.
We also had we had 6 CSA.
Yeah, we started with 6
we had
families.
6 families. And we're like, all right, we're committed to growing produce and chicken and have enough eggs for 6 families. So we can't fail. It's like we have to.
Right. Yeah. You have to.
So
make it work.
it makes you committed because you already have a subscription of people wanting and relying on you. Obviously, there is Mother Nature that can affect things.
But everyone's really understanding, because again, we're super transparent about those things, and we educate the consumer about everything that we do. But yeah, that was kind of like the business model getting started. Is before we even had a product, it was sold.
Right. Yeah.
And then I didn't want to be stuck with all this stuff and then lose all this money and throw it away and things like that. So like Josh said, we started with 6 families. It was sold before we even grew it. But then we got in a point where when we started, just to put it in perspective, like it was before the market, because this is our 6th year for CSA now. Yep. And then we've only had the market for 3 years. So we were in our kitchen on our dining room table in our own kitchen, washing all this produce and putting baskets together and doing all this stuff. And people would come to our front door and they would see us and they'd be like, "Oh, hey, Josh and Dana, nice to see you." And we'd be like, "Here's your basket. Oh, by the way, in the freezers in my basement that you can't see right now, I have all this awesome beef and pork and stuff like that."
Are you interested in it? And would come up with like a platter of stuff like, "Here's our New York strips and ribeyes and pork chops. Would you like to buy any?"
Right, yeah.
And the thing is, if people can't see it, they're not going to buy it.
Yeah.
So that's another part of opening the market is we need to get our products exposed and in people's eyes. So the CSA kind of led to the market. So it's like you come into the market to get your CSA basket, but then there's all the, again,
other great products.
Yeah, all the other products. So while they're there, they're more than likely, "Oh, we're getting eggs this week in our CSA and all these other items. Let me get a pack of bacon while I'm here. Or let me get some hamburgers for tonight, or some ground beef to make hamburgers." When they see it, they're going to more than likely want to buy it. Yeah. It's when they can't see the products, it's
And again, with Josh, like designing the market and stuff like that, like when you walk into the market, you have these big metal and glass doors. You walk in, you pull it, it's nice and heavy, but then you walk in and to the right, there's all these nameplates and metal baskets and overflowing baskets with produce that looks gorgeous. It's all like presented properly. And then when you look around to the freezers, like a lot of the time we would go to farmers and they would just have those big, like ugly white chest freezers. And there's nothing wrong with that because they are
That's where we started.
They're cost effective.
That's what we had.
They're cost effective, they're cheap. But again, like Josh said, if you can't see a product, you're not going to buy it.
Right,
So we have like big glass freezers, big glass refrigerators so you can see the product. We worked with our butcher because like normally when you buy ground beef in the store, it's in that like white package.
Right,
You can't
yeah.
see the
It's in a
meat.
tube.
Yeah.
So I was like, Tommy, I know I'm being a pain right now, but I was like, I really want my customer to be able to see the quality of the meat we're raising. Can you do this in a clear package? And he's like, Dana, for you,
I got you.
I guess I can
Right.
do it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that was back when we were butchering like 1 steer a year and like 2 pigs. And now we're like one of his biggest customers, like
Right,
at the
yeah.
butcher. So like he's seen us grow, but I had to ask him like all these crazy questions and demands and stuff like that. Well, not demands, but just like asking him to do things because we knew how important the presentation was. And that's just like another level of the farm that's just like really hard to manage is like butcher dates. A lot of people aren't aware. Like you obviously know it takes me a long time to raise a pig or a cow for you to eat, like your family to be able to consume. It's not something you can do overnight. But even another level of planning is like our butcher dates for next year are already booked.
Yeah,
wow.
we have to schedule.
So it's like, how
8
do you
months in
plan for
advance.
that? And we
Right.
only use one butcher because we believe firmly in this butcher and how they treat our livestock. We believe in, the quality control of it.
Right.
We don't want several people, touching our animals and selling different packaging and stuff like that. So it's like, how do you plan for growth in a year when years prior we're doubling the
Right.
amount of meats we're selling?
Yeah.
So it's scary to like be like, not only one, are you investing all this money in this livestock and stuff, but planning the butcher dates and doing all this. But then we found it, and again, it's not a bad problem, but you hate telling people like, hey, sorry, I don't have meat for you this week, or I don't have
Sold
this.
out.
It's so like we normally don't have enough.
Right,
We
yeah.
think we're planning for enough, but we come up short every single year. Or, certain things you think are going to do really well, and it's, it doesn't kind of work out the way it's supposed to, and you have to pivot and things like that. Because I mean, the only hard thing I would say with that last year is one thing, and this was the first time this has happened to us, is we were planning on butchering a lot more like half shares for families. And they just weren't selling. Like we sold a lot, and it wasn't enough. It wasn't an issue. But the way to work around that, and it was another goal I wanted to do, I just didn't expect to do it in that time, is we started wholesaling to other local markets, restaurants, things like that. So we have, 4 people that we wholesale to now? And
5.
5.
Because our market's a 6.
Yeah, okay. So we didn't think we would get into the wholesale world because everything we do is direct to consumer.
Right.
We really believe in that model. But again, it was on the list of things we wanted to do, but just like in the moment of being like, hey, we still have 2 half shares of beef that didn't sold. Like, why don't we try to get into that space then too? So just like navigating those things can be kind of
Right.
challenging. But yeah, planning ahead is like one of the hardest things
Right,
to
I'm
do
sure.
because it's like you have all these people to feed and you don't want to turn them away. Like chicken is a hard
Yeah.
thing. And that's one thing we can't really do. And again, this is kind of like getting into the weeds and things like that. But I said, like, we butcher our chickens on our property, and to be able to do it that way, you can't do over 1,000 birds a year.
Right.
I can sell
that's
over 1,000
yeah.
chickens in a year, but we don't want to get into the space where we're having to take our chickens to a USDA facility.
Except when
And that's
you're
just our
stressing
own,
out the animal.
that's just our own personal opinion. We don't think there's like a stress-free way to travel with our chickens in a trailer like you can with a cow or a pig.
Right.
So like that's one thing we're definitely like limited on. But I clearly communicate that with people and be like, hey, like, yeah, we just butchered 250 chickens, but we're going to be sold out in 3 weeks. Like, I'm sorry, but you just got to come and get it while it's available.
Right. Yeah, but you stick to your roots and what you guys believe.
Exactly. And that's one big thing. Like, we don't cut corners. And, you could raise animals faster and we could go to other butchers if it was just about the money, but it's not.
Right.
Again, like, our biggest thing is just showing people your food deserves better. We're going to stick to that. Show people that, what we believe in is, what we're going to stick to. And if that means we just have to tell you guys, like, sorry, we don't have it right now because we stick to those strict standards. That's just how it is.
Yeah. And it's been cool to see you guys like all over social media. Mm-hmm. People are like taking stories and stuff, like opening the Traeger, Gary's micro farm tonight, having ribs and steak. Like, I'm sure that makes you guys feel really good.
It does.
Seeing that.
And that's just like another facet of the farm is, just learning how social media works, because I run the social media, and it's just like living in a world of instant gratification and just like giving the customer what they want in that exact moment. Like, I always have my phone, like, I set time frames of the day, like when I'm not responding to messages and things like that. But when we first started the farm, I was talking to other farmers, and I was like, I'm going to use social media to like bring people to the farm and like take these pictures. And they're like, that's not going to really make a difference, things like that. But I've created a brand for ourselves and like done all these things where, people know if they tag me on social media and like take this stuff, like, I'm going to reply, I'm going to repost their stuff. And it's just like, people really enjoy like having that interaction with us.
Right.
Versus like most farmers thinks like, hey, I'm just going to make this stuff or raise these animals, have this steak. You're just going to come and buy it. You're going to tell your friends about it. But using social media has been huge. And like you said, just like having other people like take videos and and it's fun for us to see like other people enjoying it, because it's one thing people just coming and being like, oh yeah, it was so cool, but if people post on Facebook, like, they're really happy about it.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of a reward for you guys, because you can see like all my hard work is paying off.
Yeah.
Feeding my neighbors, all that stuff.
Yeah. And it's been really cool, like, just on the social media aspect of it, of just kind of seeing it snowball, like, especially just locally. Like, I used to work so hard, like, not patrolling, but just like going into like group, like, what's up Winchester, things like that. When people are like, where do I get eggs? I would have to be on there, be like, come to Geraghty's Maker Farm, like, come visit me and my husband.
Now people are tagging.
Now people do that.
Go there.
Right.
I go on posts and it's just like all these awesome people that love us, like, they're telling people about it, and it's like, that's really cool. Like, it's just kind of like, it's just kind of snowballed into the, like, I don't have to work as hard on social media anymore because of things like that. And it's just like that, things like that just make my life easier, because I'm not having to, put all those hours into it, because of the people that love us and know we're on social media and things like that. So they know where to tag us.
Right. Yeah.
And that was one thing I was kind of scared about. Like, when we started the farm, is like, our last name isn't easy to spell. So I was like, that's a risk.
Right.
Like, making it Geraghty's Micro Farm.
Yeah.
But I think just like saying it, like, I put my face on social media, I say it, it's clearly spelled out. But that was one thing. I mean, people don't even think about the website. Like, it's not Geraghty'sMicrofarm.com. It's gmicrofarm.com. Because how am I going to direct people to our website if you can't spell Geraghty?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's just like, even small things like that, thinking about it in the beginning, like, you really have to think about someone new, they don't know you, things like that, and just being memorable.
Right.
Like, how are you going to be memorable with people?
Yeah. And once you make the, your logo, the emblem, all that stuff, it's hard to go back.
It is.
So you're kind of committed at that point.
Yeah. And that's why we've kind of gotten into like different branding, because we have like our Geraghty's Micro Farm logo, but then like Josh's hat, like Geraghty's Market, that's become a staple now, because we didn't want like Geraghty's Micro Farm like all over the market.
Right.
Because again, when you walk in the market, there's like hand painted walls and things like that. Like the Geraghty, his hat is pretty much like up on the wall, like when you come in. With our mission statement, your food deserves better. Like, it looks exactly like that. So that has become, and just coming up with different branding, things like that too. Because again, like, you need to get seen, and it needs to look good too.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like, yeah.
And kind of to wrap it up here, like, can you explain to everybody like all the products you sell? Not every single one of them, but kind of like a broad range of the variety you have?
So the biggest thing is the CSA share, so the chicken and produce, chicken and egg CSA.
Right.
So it's all our produce, like the greens, roots, herbs, all the vegetables, and it's all like normal stuff you would find in the farmers market. So we have that, the pasture-raised chicken, which we just do the whole birds, the eggs from our free-ranging chickens. We have all our beef, so we have pretty much every beef cut you can imagine. We raise Black Angus. It's dry aged for 21 days. And then our pork is pasture raised. The breed we raise is called Cooney Cooney. So they're a really interesting heritage breed, but we sell all their pork. And then, like Josh was saying earlier, we have the pizzas that we sell. They're stone-fired pizzas made by a local family, Bethlehem Farm. It's a father and son business that's really cool. But all the pizzas that have meat on it, it's our meat too. So it's cool.
Okay,
And
that's cool.
they're awesome because they're ready in like 5 to 8 minutes, and they're all homemade. It's all like flour imported from Italy and stuff, so they're like top notch. Something we did recently is we started making salamis with our pork. So we work with Parma Sausage in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to do our own salami. We sell milk, lemonade, cheeses. Kombucha is another really big seller for us. So we have a really unique kombucha and water kefir that we sell. We sell the produce when it's seasonal, and that's mainly just the extras that we have every week that we don't sell from CSA. That's kind of dwindling down now. We have candles, and candles is a really interesting thing too. I'm going to go on a little tangent, but when you butcher over 100 pigs a year, people don't think of things such as like fat, like pork fat, and like that was really piling up for us. So again, I had to think of a way to use all this pork fat because I had this massive chest freezer full of fat that was just, sitting here and accumulating. So I went back to, our roots and, previous centuries and thought about, candles. Like they made candles from pork fat and beeswax. So I started making our own candles with pork fat, beeswax, and a natural scent. And we sell I make so many candles now. I'm like, now I'm a farmer and a candle maker. Like it's all these different things. So I do that. I do wax melts. We sell soap, honey, maple syrup, sourdough bread. Wow. We do like local woodworking stuff. Oh, another thing I forgot about. Again, it was kind of like the more like on the candle thing is we do dog chews now. So again, we're always trying to like honor the animals and use as much as we can. We're really big on not wasting products. So we just launched recently a dog chew line because we all care about our families, but people care about their dogs too. Right. So we're using products that a lot of times get thrown away. So for example, we do like beef liver chews, which is like very normal, but then I do like a cow snout chew, which is literally like the cow nose or ears, and they're just dehydrated. So we have this whole line of dog chews, and we sell like tons of them every weekend because it's a lot better than the stuff that's preserved in the store. So we have that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We have like all our merch, our sweatshirts and t-shirts and hats and things like that.
A lot of stuff.
It's like,
and growing probably.
And really what we wanted to do is duplicate the grocery store. So it's like, it's one thing to get your eggs and meat and things like that, but we want you to be able to get your milk and butter and cheese and things like that. We want to be that one-stop shop, and we want to have all these awesome products.
Local source items.
Right, yeah.
And
so we're always looking for more. Yeah, we're always looking to partner with other local businesses and local families.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on. Your story's awesome. It's been awesome to watch you guys grow. So just remind everybody one more time if they want to come out to the market, what are the days and times?
Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
It's Fridays and Sundays, 12 to 4. And it's 1659 Apple Pie Ridge Road. Or you can go to our website. It's gmicrofarm.com, and it has all the information, where to find us, our story. You can also order items online for pickup at the farm on days we're not open.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, make sure you guys go check them out and support your local farmer.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, thank you.